Hofberg is a clairvoyant, medium, pet psychic, and tarot reader. She does not ask for the details about your life, but primarily relies on her gift of clairvoyance to receive the psychic insights that will be the most helpful to you about your soulmate, relationships, money concerns, and your career path. As a pet psychic, she will receive insights about what your pet or pets wants you to know. As a medium, she will connect with your loved ones on the other side. Shelley Hofberg is the host of the Psychic Horizon radio show, produced by Goldilocks Productions and presented on Blog Talk Radio, Thursdays at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Shelley brings together the pioneers and visionary teachers to share with you some of the most enlightening knowledge that is out there today to expand your horizons and open the paths to higher consciousness.
Welcome to the Psychic Horizon Show. I'm your host, Psychic Shelley Hofberg, and today's special guest is Maryanne Rodgers, who will be talking about past life healing and doing tarot readings for you. And before I bring Maryanne on, I just wanted to make some quick announcements that on April 8th, I'll be at the Learning Life Foundation Psychic Fair from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. in Anaheim, California. And on April 29th, I'll be at the School of Multidimensional Healing and Science Psychic Fair from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. in Irvine, California. And I just wanted to make some announcements of my upcoming guests. On March 30th, next week, we have Carl Jung talking about out-of-body experiences. On April 6th, we have Deborah Hall talking about tarot. On April 13th, psychic numerologist Jeremy Ryden, who's the author of The Great Method, Your Intuitive Destiny Guide, and Your Soul Story, How to Create the Life You Always Wanted, and the host of the Intuitive Destiny show that comes on this evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And Brian Ross will be my guest on April 20th. He's the host of the Magical Journey radio show that comes on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And on April 27th is Terry Lynn Can-See will be my guest. I'm now ready to bring on my guest, Maryanne Rodgers. Hello, Maryanne.
Hi, Shelley. Great
Hello.
to be here.
How are you?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes. And can you tell the callers a little bit something about yourself?
Sure. I'd love to. Well, I'm very privileged to be doing the work I am doing now. It's been a long path of training and learning over many years, and it's very exciting work I do. It can be quite difficult work at times, but it's really amazing the profound shifts that happen almost instantaneous in some cases. So my background is really quite a long history in Christianity as an adult. I became a Christian at about 16, and I really was serious about the relationship part of it, and I learned how to listen to spirit and really formed a relationship with God within a bit of a religious construct, but I still had a relationship. And so I was able to move in some of my gifts at that time. In my 20s, I was in leadership roles and very involved. And then sort of fast forward to my 30s, where things sort of opened up a little bit more for me. I started to sort of get into some other concepts a little bit more, I guess. Actually, the movie that's out now, The Shack, was instrumental in sort of opening up my view and letting go of some of my paradigms that were within, a religious structure. And so I began sort of looking outside of Christianity a little bit more and feeling like, it was safe to look into other things. And I became really interested in a lot of metaphysical teachings, and I got into energy healing. And giving you the really short version, pretty much dove into all things sort of self-help, metaphysical, spiritual, and was really excited in a new way, because something happens sometimes I'll speak for myself, in Christianity, where you sort of can park, in a religion and think, I've arrived, like this is it. And so sometimes the growth can stop, and that had sort of happened with me. So I was really excited to be learning all these new things, and was really exploring everything I could get my hands on, and was just, very hungry to learn. And I got really into energy healing, and that's really the basis of my work, because really a lot of our stories is just stuck energy and old programs. So that was great training, and I didn't really understand what was happening then, but now as I look back, I see it was just a sort of perfect training ground to understand a bit more about, what it is now. So, and also did some mediumship. I was really trained by spirit. People will ask me, where I trained and that kind of thing, but it's been a very personal journey for me, and a lot of it has been self-training and really training by my guides in spirit. So here we are. I never thought I'd be doing this work. The last thing I ever thought I would do would be past life work. There was a lot of my life I didn't even believe in it. Christians have a bit of a hard time with it often, because we're told you're born once and you die once, that kind of thing. But actually in the Bible, there are examples of reincarnation, like John the Baptist was Elijah. So, there is some instances, but it's just not a focus. So that's sort of the short version, if you like, of how I ended up here. So, but it's amazing. And, we've never really arrived. I'm open to where my path might lead, but I love the work I'm doing now, and it's not really one-dimensional. It has a lot of different pieces to it. So it's always fun, and it's never the same. It's always interesting. And what I love about it is it's like solving mysteries for people, because this life is really like just one page of a story. If you picked up a novel and read one page, you're not really going to get a full picture. But when you're able to go back and see some other lifetimes, you start to see patterns and things that repeat. And often the things in this life are just repeated again. So it's really fun and interesting. So does that answer your question?
Can you explain past lives?
Sure. I mean, a past life is really any lifetime we've had before this one, in the most simplest term. My work does involve prenatal and birth as well, because the soul has consciousness from the time of conception. So anything before that birth is considered a past life. Some people will spend time in the afterlife. Some people will reincarnate right back into another body. So yeah, anything we've lived, any times we've lived before this lifetime.
Well, let's take our first caller, Maryanne, which is Kathy at area code 443. Hello, Kathy.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Good.
Hi, Kathy.
What is your question today, Kathy?
Hi, Maryanne. I'm feeling like stuck. I don't know if it's from a past life, but trying to move forward on my spiritual path.
Okay. So it's mainly in a spiritual sense?
And also I want to retire, but I also feel kind of stuck about when to leave.
Okay. Okay, so I have cards ready, because I do take a couple of minutes to shuffle and have cards, so I actually have a spread already for you. And the first card I'm getting is an interesting card, and that is, it says male, female. Now I have to sort of translate, obviously, because we're on the radio. And I feel like for you, you've had a lot of lives in different genders, in the two genders.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm feeling like there maybe has been a little bit of unsettling in that, or a little bit of confusion, even. You can identify with both male and female quite easily because you've had a lot of lifetimes in the male form. And I don't know if that is helpful at all to you today, with this question, but that's the first card that's come up. So it's about really remembering who you are. You're not a body, right? This is just when you look down at those hands, your hands, that is not really who you are. That's just the case that you've chosen in this lifetime. So it's about remembering, going back to your divinity and understanding that you are a divine being. And the form, anywhere you're identifying in form, is less important. Does that make sense? And I'm going to come back to this card too, because this might make more sense as we move along. And the next card is a finance card. It just says finances. And I feel like for you, there's a lot of past lives where you've had scarcity around, finances. Possibly, I feel like that's around everything. Or with finances, it affects everything. Food, a sense of security. And that's what I feel like is coming up for you, is the sense of, like, I don't feel safe. I don't feel secure in the world. And that's what that first card is about, too, with the male-female. It's almost like I don't quite fit. I don't know where. Does that make sense? Like an insecurity feeling.
Yeah.
Because you're identifying with form. And this is about remembering who you are in your divinity, in your spirit being that will go on beyond this lifetime. You're an eternal being, part of the divine, part of the wholeness. So, but that's okay. I mean, this is an old story that's playing out. So when you've had experiences over multiple lifetimes of scarcity and lack, then that becomes a belief because that's been your experience. So it becomes, and this is helpful for other listeners too that are, hearing this and it resonates. And then the next card for you is also one that speaks a little bit about the same thing in a different way, and it's I got the orphan card. So it talks about scarcity as well. That's what seems to be coming up here, is like a pattern or an old story of not having enough. So with the orphan card, it's like not enough love. So the good news is I'm not going to just put you in this to leave you there. This is answers that are going to help you today. So I'm just setting the tone. I'm just explaining, but we will be able to bring some healing here. So, yeah, with the orphan card, it's the same story. It's a scarcity model. But, there's not enough.
Right.
And this is through in your fear around retiring.
I feel, Kathy, that you are going to retire in 2018 or 2019. So within the next 1 or 2 years, you'll be able to retire. I don't see this as a retirement year. I think you'll work another year or two and then retire. And I feel retirement is going to be a good thing for you. You're going to be spending a lot more time with family and friends. You're going to be doing traveling when you retire. There's travel in your future. So it's going to be a good time. And it may take a little while for you to actually retire, but you will retire within 1 or 2 years. And Maryanne, how can Kathy get in contact with you?
My website is MaryanneRodgers.com, and that has my contact details. But we can do some clearing statements too around this if you'd like to. Yeah, and I'd be happy to help you with that. I do have some great clearing prayers on my website that are free if anybody's interested. And so I would just but specifically with you clearing these statements and doing some energy work around just that scarcity story, and then letting go of that story and not adding to the story. Because I do feel like what Shelley's saying, it's more of a mindset than an actual, in this life, with the finances, it definitely feels better. This is an old story that's just sort of haunting you a little bit, right? So it's more of a mindset now than it is an actual block. So it's just releasing those fears because of what you've lived in. So it might be helpful to do a session and just see where it's anchored and be able to release that. Or it may be enough to do clearing statements, but we could work on that a little bit more.
Okay. All right.
And then the healing cards that come along with this are great. The one with finances is divine timing. And so it's just about being free to enjoy yourself, to enjoy your retirement and not be, no one wants to sit around and be anxious about it. That's not fun. So it's just, like I said, releasing that old story and coming into your divinity, coming into your spiritual abundance in love and finances, in letting go of the form, the connection to form. Does that make sense?
Yes. Okay.
And
thank
then
you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hope that was helpful.
Thank you.
And thank you for calling the Psychic Horizon Show, Kathy.
Thank you, Shelley.
Thank you. I'm now ready to continue my interview with Maryanne Rodgers on past lives. And then we're going to take our next caller, which is area code 727. Maryanne, what is a past life regression?
That is when, now, different regressionists have a little bit of a different approach. There's a few different ways to do it. I use quite a simple method. I put people in the energy of the problem or the relationship or whatever it is they want to work on. And then we use certain trigger points to put them back into a past life memory. And then we're able to go back and pretty much solve the mystery as to the problem they're having today.
Interesting. Well, let's take our next caller, Maryanne, which is area code 727. Hello, 727.
Hi, Maryanne. Hi, Shelley. Thank you for taking my call.
And who do we have the pleasure of speaking to?
In Florida area?
Who are we speaking to? What's your name?
Carol. My name is Carol.
Hello, Carol. And Carol, how
Hi.
can we help you today?
Similar to like your first caller, just how do I get myself out of the way? I've been doing, spiritual work, releasing, clearing, and I still feel like I'm looking to, I'm preparing to move somewhere. Something's holding me back, and I want to, plan on starting my own business in this, the healing arts. I appreciate any help or messages regarding that.
Okay. Now the first card, tell me your name again.
Carol?
Carol. Hi, Carol.
Yes.
Okay,
Hi.
Hi. The first card I got is quite interesting. It doesn't sound related at all, but bear with me. It's about authority figures. And this can be a block. Fear of authority is one of the 10 past life fears that I work with clearing. And this can be a fear of judgment, and this can keep us stuck because we're afraid of a lot of things. We're afraid of, it usually comes down to a past life where we've been judged and it didn't end well. So this can keep us stuck and afraid to move forward because when we've moved forward before, particularly in our gifts, it's cost us our life.
Okay.
So I feel like this is probably an unconscious block. Most people don't walk around knowing these things consciously, but how does that resonate with you?
It absolutely resonates, and it actually resonates to, like, the current family that I had. I walked away from them.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this is probably an old pattern that for you that reoccurs where you've had trouble coming into your gift because it hasn't been okay, it's been judged by others. So it's about coming into it's about coming into your truth and being able to push through those fears. You know, we all have them, it's just a matter of moving forward anyway. But if you've got something really anchoring you that's just so big, then that's something that we could regress to and clear, because sometimes there's other things that can be solved in that as well that will just release you in a new way. Yeah. I mean, I've had similar past lives to this. I've been killed for my beliefs before, and it's taken me probably until this life to be able to move into it because of that. It's been a big issue for me, so I totally understand where you're coming from. Yeah. So, but that is old news for you. That is an old story. That's not who you are in this life. The same will not replay out for you. So it's about letting the past be in the past and saying that was then, this is now, and I'm creating a new story. Okay.
I feel, Carol. I feel, Carol, that there's going to be a major shift in your feelings and in your thinking that's going to be taking place between April and September. You know, so there's going to be a major shift this year. And you're going to be kind of going in a new direction with what you're doing for work. I feel it involves making a change in a job. And I feel that it may also involve a move, you know, that you may be moving this year. Have you been contemplating a move?
Yes, I am. I'm so ready to leave. I'm just looking forward to where I fit in.
I feel that in the West Coast, California, Arizona, Colorado, that those would be some good places to look at. I feel that you would resonate with any one of those states. So I feel I would look into going into those states. I just feel it's kind of a very spiritual place for you, where there'll be a lot of new opportunities for growth. So I feel that that's what's going to happen. And Maryanne, how can Carol get in contact with you?
She's welcome to contact me through my website or pasthealing@gmail.com. That's my email.
And you could contact me, Carol, at 818-744-5241 or go to psychichorizon.com. And thank you for calling the Psychic Horizon Show, Carol.
Thanks. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Carol.
You too, Carol. Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. We're now going to continue our interview with Maryanne Rodgers on past lives, and then we're going to take our next caller, which is area code 562. Why do we keep coming back, Carol? I'm not Carol, Maryanne. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Because we are up to something very important, and that is awakening, some people would say, or I like to say in a more direct way, we are returning. We are returning to where we have come from, which is oneness, divinity. So that's what we're up to. People think we're here just to have a comfortable little life and to be, to get the job, get the spouse, get the house, and then get out, but there's much more going on than that. So that's where the conflict arises, because we sort of forget on a soul level what we're up to.
And does the soul have memory?
Yes, it does. A lot of it sort of gets sailed off between lifetimes, think if we remembered all our lifetimes, we'd probably be a little crazy if we remembered them all consciously, because to the soul, it's like one really long life. So we sort of need to bury them a little bit, but they are quite easy to access.
Interesting. Well, let's take our next caller, Maryanne, which is area code 562. Hello, 562.
Hi, how you doing? This is Carolyn.
Hello, Carolyn.
Yes, hi. Thank you for taking my call. I wanted to ask, is there any past life that is important for me to remember or that can help me now in this life?
Hi, Carolyn. Carolyn, right?
Yes.
The first card I got for you is an interesting one. I actually got Native American.
Mm-hmm.
Does that resonate with you at all?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Oh, good. Okay. So that's something that I feel was an important culture for you in a past life. And so diving into anything that resonates with you from that culture may be helpful. You may find it grounding and peaceful. And I feel like you've got some gifts associated to some of that in that culture, from that culture and from that time. I'm also getting the Father card for you.
The Father? Okay.
The Father card. So that can be a connection to spirit, because we see that could be a correlation, you know, the relationship with the Father and feeling connected to spirit. So how is your relationship with your father? Or how was it? Or?
Well, it was pretty good. I was told I was his favorite. I mean, he didn't tell me, but I realized my siblings would tell me all the time. I didn't feel it, think it, until I was grown. And I was my father's favorite. He didn't talk much. Yeah, he worked a lot, and he was, he would tell us what not to do. So basically, I guess it was, it was okay. I mean, that's the way it was. I cared about him. We loved him. And I think he really felt that as he was dying, because we all told him we loved him. And I think he was shocked that we loved him.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, I feel like that's quite a close soul for you, and a soul that you've traveled with many times, one of your closest in your soul group. Yeah, that's a close relationship.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's very much with you, and he checks in on you.
Okay.
Yeah, so I feel like he's somebody that you could talk to and call on if you needed just reassurance or guidance.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
Good. And then I'm also pulling an interesting card for you. The third one I got for you was the card that says farm. And I feel like there's sort of a joy for you in the simple things in life.
Yes, yes.
And this card can mean a lot of things, but I think for you it's like there's peace in the simple things, and like a quiet life. And
definitely I like quiet and peace. The simple thing, a simple life, really.
Yeah, like peaceful, simple life. Being sort of self-sustaining to some extent. Like it feels like you don't need a whole lot. Do you know what I mean? Like you don't need a whole material possessions.
No, I don't.
This feels quite peaceful to me. I feel like you've done a lot of. I feel like you've come quite a ways in your past lives. You've learned a lot, and this feels quite peaceful. I don't feel like there's anything in these cards, nothing screaming that I feel like you need to visit. You could do a fun regression and see, what you did in the Native American culture or in that lifetime. That might be
No, I
fun.
think,
You know, it doesn't
no,
always have to be heavy. Sometimes we can, you know, have some fun with it and just see, okay, you know, what was my
I would
spiritual
love to
path?
do that.
You know.
I would love to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I look forward to something like that.
Wonderful. Well, thanks for calling in.
Well,
And
thank you.
Carolyn, I feel in your life as American Indian that you were in Arizona. Have you ever resonated with Arizona?
Well, I think it's warm and I like warmth. So I have no problem as long as I have the air conditioning.
That's right. Yeah, it is hot there.
I went for 3 days to Phoenix, Arizona, and it was 116 each day, and it was 112 at night. So I said, wow, I need to rethink this.
Well, you were in Arizona in a past life as an American Indian, and you were a medicine woman. I know you're a healer in this life. I feel in that life that you also were a healer, that you were an American Indian woman, medicine woman. And people in the village came to you for healing. And you worked a lot with herbs and music. You used a rattle and you used herbs and stones, crystals. So so the herbs and crystals might be another avenue for you to look into to using, since you used them in a past life, and looking into using them again. And thank you for calling, Carolyn.
Well, thank you both. Okay. Have a great day.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Carolyn.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I'm now going to continue my interview with Maryanne Rodgers on past lives, and then we're going to take our next caller, which is area code 480. What is the past life pattern, Maryanne?
That's something that continues to show up until it's resolved. So most of us have this sort of cocktail of emotions that can be tracked back to many past lives, and it would have come from an original cause somewhere, usually a traumatic event or something. Say, for example, sadness. Some people have sadness that is more than most people. It's one of their predominant emotions, and that has been in a series of lifetimes. So now what happens is that pattern becomes kind of anchored in, and it continues to show up. So now we're actually energetically drawing it in, because that's the belief, the program, the story that's playing. And so this is why it's so important to clear, because people don't want, I would imagine, I'll speak for myself, I would not want continuing sad stories or sad events that cause me to be sad. So that's why, does that make sense? So a pattern is just something that just continues until the soul is able to resolve it, usually by, there's a lot of ways to do it. It doesn't have to be past life regression. This is just a fast way, in my opinion. A lot of people can do it through forgiveness work, releasing, clearing, other metaphysical teachings, meditation. There's all kinds of ways to let go of our story and just to stop repeating, to stop saying it. But that's easier said than done. I mean, really, it helps to go back and understand, why am I sad? Why is this continuing to show up? And if you look at the challenges with, you've had in this lifetime, pretty much take that emotional recipe or cocktail, if you like, and you can assume that a lot of your past lives had a similar emotional patterning to them. Does that make sense?
Interesting. Well, let's take our next caller, Maryanne, which is area code 480. Hello, 480.
Hi, this is Mike.
Hello, Mike. And Mike, how can we help you?
Yes, today I'm starting a new job. It's at a new restaurant that hasn't opened yet, and I just kind of wanted to get an idea of being forward financially, as well as, I mean, I do have a few other feelers out, and maybe do you see maybe another opportunity even better or moving forward with? Just curious.
So the question is what are we feeling about this job? Is that the
the financial possibilities with this new one, and then there's also, or do you see me kind of going in a different direction?
Well, I've pulled a couple of cards for you that are quite spiritual in nature, that talk about some past lives of spiritual service. And I'm not saying that's what you're supposed to do. Actually, in this case, I feel like you've got some vows as a monk or a nun, probably both. I feel like you've had a lot of spiritual lives, in spiritual roles or religious roles, particularly religious roles. And some of these vows are what is hindering you in your finances. Vow of poverty, for example. So that's easy to clear. A lot of people have this, and that vow they took seriously just happens to carry into other lifetimes and can be a problem if you don't want a vow of poverty in your life in this present time. Make sense?
Yeah, no, I don't need that.
Exactly. All right, so we'll just clear any and all vows, religious or otherwise, any vows you've made consciously or unconsciously, intentionally or unintentionally, known or unknown, good or bad, right or wrong, from any and all past lives. We just delete, renounce, uncreate, and destory and transmute that energy across all time, space, dimension, and reality. Okay, that feels better. So that's going to help you in a lot of ways, without mentioning the vows. Could have been, but that feels like that was a block for you. You're quite spiritually connected, so don't forget about that part of you. I feel like you're somebody that has to have that part of your life.
You're right.
Keep attention there. Obviously we all have to make a living, but this has come up. 2 out of your 3 cards are of spiritual nature, religious nature. So that should help clearing out that religious sort of piece of it. I've got a more in-depth prayer if you're interested, if anybody else is interested in clearing that. It's something a lot of people actually have. It's on my website, which is MaryanneRodgers.com. I have a few other clearings on there that are good. And then the other card for you I have is karmic relationship. Now, is this somebody in your life now? It feels like a romantic relationship.
I'm single right now.
Okay. Is this past or coming? Past or coming? Sorry, I'm just trying to get information.
No, you're fine.
I feel like it's coming. I don't feel like it's a past relationship. I feel like it's something that's coming. Okay. All right. What I'm hearing is it's an important relationship, and it may be a bit uncomfortable for you. It may be a relationship that you think, oh, this isn't right. Like, I need to break up with this person type thing. I'm trying to translate what I'm getting in spirit, so I'm doing the best I can. But it feels like there is some things to balance. So I'm not saying stay in anything toxic or unhealthy or anything like that, but this person's going to feel familiar to you, and there's going to be a comfort level. But then there's also going to be some things that are a little bit uncomfortable. And I feel like for you it's going to be about standing up for yourself, being in your truth, letting your needs be known. But there is going to be quite a bit you get. There's going to be quite a bit you get out of the relationship. So just, check in. You are connected, so it's easy for you to connect.
Yes.
and trust your gut and be intuitive in those things. Anything else you want to add, Shelley?
I do feel that this new job that in the restaurant will be a good fit for you, a good match. It will turn out to be a good job, and I feel you becoming a manager. Are you getting hired as a manager now?
No, but there's been kind of talk about that kind of on a part-time basis, but the money is below what I can make as a server or a bartender, significantly below.
Oh, okay, that wouldn't be good then, because I felt something coming up with management, so they may ask you, and you may just, want to stay a bartender and server instead. If even though it's a higher level position, there's no sense in taking it if there's no financial gains.
Correct, and a 60-hour, for a full-time manager, a 60-hour work week, when I can make almost, I'm not going to say double, but really close to double, working like 20 or 30 hours a week as a busser or as a bartender or server.
I would do that. I kind of feel more. I feel that you would kind of be doing more bartending. You'll be doing some serving too, but I see bartending, and I feel it's going to be a good job for you. You're going to like it. You're going to like the people. There is going to be a new relationship which will work out for you. So everything looks good for you. Maryanne, how can Mike get in contact with you?
Let me just give you my number too. Either you can email me at pasthealing@gmail, or my cell phone is 949-742-2059.
Wonderful, thank you.
Okay.
And thank you for calling, Mike.
Thanks both.
We're now going to continue our interview with Maryanne Rodgers on past lives, and then we're going to take our next caller, which is area code 760. What is a soul contract, Maryanne?
Soul contract. It's a big subject, but I'll try to give it to you in brief. It's something we make between lives, where we agree to certain things to help our soul move along. So it's coming out of the right place. The problem with a soul contract is sometimes people agree to things that are really can be quite extreme or can be burdensome. So a classic example would be a wake-up call. They're in between lives, and they're with their soul group, and they're agreeing to some tragic event so that they can use that to wake up, in a spiritual sense. Like, how you hear about people that, they're in a wheelchair from an accident, and then, they had this massive wake-up call, turn their life around, things like that. I mean, and it doesn't always have to be so intense. It could be signing up for a sort of a difficult relationship. And it comes out of a place of love between those two souls because they're helping one another, but then the outworking of that can be really challenging and painful. And a lot of it is they're agreed to out of an inflamed personality. So the soul is still on a journey and thinks it needs to learn something. But in truth, we're all perfect, whole spirit beings, divine spirit. So there really is nothing to learn, only to unlearn. So it's exciting to me to know that soul contracts can actually be cleared. And it can release a lot of burdens from people and a lot of guilt, because on that unconscious level, they don't know that they're carrying around this huge burden that they've agreed to. And some people have really unreasonable soul contracts that are things like, they're going to heal the world, things that are just too much for any one person, that they've agreed to out of this, like, righteous inflammation. And it's just, too heavy. So these things can be cleared. I do have a soul contract clearing prayer or declaration on my website if anybody's interested in that. It's something that I think, I don't run around clearing everybody's soul contracts because everybody's in a different place. But if somebody's in front of me and that comes up to clear, then we'll clear it. But if people are listening to this and it's resonating with them, then they may want to go ahead and, say the declaration and just clear it just so it's neutral. It's not like they're going to change their whole life trajectory necessarily. It's just going to be more of a neutral thing where they're freeing themselves up a little bit and they're going to sort of speed up their evolution. I mean, if you're listening to the show, you're already somewhat aware, and interested in awakening, I would think. So, yeah, it is a big subject, but it is exciting to be able to clear them, in my opinion.
Well, let's take our next caller, Maryanne, which is area code 760. Hello, 760.
Hello, Shelley and Maryanne. First of all, I feel so blessed to be speaking to you. Truly, I'm a first-time caller, a first-time listener. Spirit led me to you this morning, and I didn't think I had a prayer of getting on because we're nearing the end of the program. So I just, I'm resonating joyfully. Thank you.
What is your name, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. Carolyn.
Wow.
Hello, Carolyn.
Got a lot of Carols and Carolyns today.
Well, I don't know because I just tuned in. That's why it's a miracle I'm speaking to you, I think, because I can imagine with your gifts that there are so many who would just so welcome and cherish a session with you. But having said that, I think of all the things I could ask or you could, with your many gifts, tap into, I saw, and I'm not sure whether it's Shelley or Maryanne, I guess the happiest times of my life have been with my pets. And I'm wondering if as a pet communicator, whether you could bring in or any messages or from my beloved, felines and canines who have passed.
Let's see who wants to come forward.
Well, or human too. We can't fight spirit. After having said that, as a teenager, you say, "Hey, lady, whatever, whatever. I won't handcuff you. Whatever comes through, I'd be most grateful. Thank you."
Yeah, I feel energy more than anything, but I am feeling a ginger. Did you have a ginger cat or a?
Oh yes, I've had several. Yes, indeed. Very, very much so. Yes.
Okay. Well,
I can tell you. A marmalade cat. Yes.
Yeah, that was the first thing I got. So that soul is with you very much. If there was one out, this feels like quite a big cat, like quite a fluffy or big in stature. Like
Right on. Solid. He was huge.
Okay.
Huge.
Okay.
Huge.
Yeah.
And long haired too. Yes.
Oh,
that's he.
Oh. Okay,
I think that's copper. Although I've had several. There was a marmalade. I think that's copper. Yes.
Yeah, you've had some quite challenging past lives, so I'm not surprised that you really gravitate towards animals.
Sure.
Yeah. Do you
challenging
suffer from anxiety?
That's an interesting question. I'm probably, the most sane, considering when you use the word challenging, my life this time around has been off the charts, every aspect. And my anxiety is not, say, a psychological one that can be treated. It's from the circumstances and events of my life that are just off the charts and unremitting, without respite. Health, betrayal, and I hope you're picking up. I don't mean to sound immodest, but I'm a light worker too, and lately I've come into and that's why I think today, I am so, I don't even have the words, and I'm a communicator, of being able to connect with you. I just, that's a miracle to me. And yeah, challenges, yes.
Yeah, I've got some quite intense cards for you. One is about imprisonment in past lives or slavery. So that's about sort of like a power imbalance and not feeling free. So it's really important for you in this life to feel free. Okay.
You are so, Maryanne, I think you're right on. Yes, if there were a tarot card that I related to in the past, it's like the one out of Gulliver Travel Illustrations, where you're tied to the ground, you're pegged down, there are ropes and chains, and you can't, and even though I've done everything as far as, that I can to free myself, it's always, and then the other images of, from mythology, Sisyphus, the guy who had his fate was to roll the rock up the hill to the top, and then it came tumbling down, and on the way down it ran over his foot and his shin, and yeah, it's just incredible. I've accepted a lot of it, and I say this with humor. My birthday, it's kind of come to me, is January 6th, which, by the way, is Joan of Arc's birthday, and also the Epiphany, which to me are symbols of explaining a lot of my fate, this incarnation.
Yeah, and then I got the acceptance card for the imprisonment or slavery, and it's about, that's just an old story. Yes, it may have happened a lot. I've had a lot of the same stuff. It's to keep you out of the light. It's to keep you in a limited view and to think that you are less than your beautiful divine self. So it's letting go of that old story, of that limitation, and coming into a freedom in this life and acceptance of who you are, receiving unconditional love. Healing is to heal others, continuing to heal and let your soul heal. But there's a good reason you're the way you are, and you've had some of these challenges. You're not crazy, or you're not, you know what I mean? You haven't done anything wrong. It's just your particular
No, I don't. Again, I've lived I can say wholeheartedly, pun intended, I've lived a righteous, giving life. I've been a light, I've felt the dark energy but the light still flickers within my heart. But it's been, it's been the oppression and the and the negative forces that have been trying to, and I sound paranoid, take me out, and I've struggled so, but now I'm physically, because we are in this incarnation in a physical body, that's been attacked and damaged and destroyed too. So I mean, you need the casing to continue, and I've also, it's just so wonderful speaking with you, because the other thing is I've had no support, nobody, use the military metaphor, nobody watching my back, nobody beside me, except my beloved animals and a few wonderful women, but everything that I've loved in this has been taken from me, and yet I'm very positive, and getting back to anxiety, I guess, I'm anxious that I'd like to go on. I feel I still have gifts to give. In fact, before calling you, I was able to help somebody. And yet I don't, you lose your rebound physically and so on so your messages are really helpful. And
you might want to look up, I'm getting the soul contract clearing might be good for you if you want to look up on my website and just clear that, use that prayer, just clear that, because I feel like you may have signed up for some of the stuff as a way to learn, like through opposites, and it's, it's too much. The burden.
I was listening to that, and I felt again that spirit was leading me to you, because when Shelley mentioned that before, she said, well, you would be speaking about that, and then she'd be taking caller 760, and I said, am I hearing right? Yes. Some of the readings, some of the readings I've had, Maryanne and Shelley, have been that all kinds of spins, and some of them you just take with a grain of salt, again pun intended, but are that that I agreed to come into this incarnation, bringing in a lot of other people's karma to work out for, that that I was myself pretty evolved, so to speak, but that I agreed to come to this contract this lifetime. They've even used phrases that's pretty awful, like sin eater and this and that. Like, I agreed to for work out, bring in the burdens of the metaphor on the load on my back for others. And whether that's true or I don't know if that's true, but it's pretty heavy. It's pretty hard.
Yeah. Well, the good news is it can be cleared. It's coming out of it's not your highest truth. It's coming out of I need to do something to be good enough, coming out of that unworthiness. And that's not who you are, right? You are.
No, I and again, at the risk of seeing immodest, I do feel worthy. I do feel worthy. I mean, I do. I'm humble, but any worthiness I feel is not egocentric. It's gifts from spirit, and I feel so fortunate to have them. But that I've been muffled and held down and abused and betrayed and stabbed, and so that it makes it hard to make any progress. And so I will definitely go there. Yeah. So you're saying you think because things have pretty much reached the crisis or crescendo, and particularly against the dark attacks. I've been under a lot of attack, and the fight's pretty much used up. I try to rebound every day, but when your physical body too has been physically in a lot of pain and a lot of physical issues, and so you're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel.
Well, there is some personal responsibility too. I think probably heard this a million times, but I think meditation would be really good for you. I know it's probably challenging for you because you're a fast thinker, you're very active, but you need to, what would be helpful, sorry, I don't like to say you need to do anything. What may be helpful is to start to unwind that nervous system that's been traumatized in past lives, in this life. Your nervous system is where the ego, really that's all the ego is a overstimulated nervous system. And that's where the fear comes in. So as you get in your breath and you slow down, then all this is going to relax, because on a certain level, you're still drawing it in because the story is still active with you. So you're still drawing in some of the stuff. So it's about releasing the story, right? Because energetically it's still coming in. So we could do. I'd be happy to work with you if you want to call me, and we can go a bit more.
I will. Yeah, I just want to quickly validate what you're saying. You have summed up. You use the word anxiety, but you're right, because I've been bombarded just from all sides, nonstop, and even sleep has been taken with me, so I can't communicate with spirit and dreams. But what you're saying is so true. I'm short-circuited from just this constant bombardment, unremitting, and so you're defining my state so accurately. And you think and meditation is hard when your mind is hard to shut off. Mm-hmm. Somebody recommended theta. Is that something, meditation? Do you recommend that?
I don't mean to cut you off, Carolyn, but our show is ending.
Oh, Shelley, I'm sorry. Thank you.
No, that's all right.
I think you're. I'm so grateful. I think your information's at the website, correct?
Yes, you can contact me through there, and I'd be happy to help you further.
Thank you both so much. And again, I just, my heart is full. It sounds trite. My heart is full of gladness because that spirit brought me to you. Thank you both so much. Blessings.
You're welcome. Thank you. All the best.
You're welcome. And I want to thank Maryanne Rodgers for being my special guest on the Psychic Horizon show today. I wanted to thank Tiffany White, Sage Woman of Goldilocks Production, for producing the Psychic Horizon show. And I want to thank all the callers who participated in the Psychic Horizon show. Thank you for being a guest, Maryanne.
Thanks so much, Shelley. That was fun.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Take care.